Hi guys, welcome to my platform. Welcome. Wealthiest Risings. Bismillah, thank you for being here, everyone. Come on in. Wealthiest Risings. Rich Risings, welcome. Thank you for being here. Come on in, everyone. Please and thank you. Rich Rising. Wealthy Rising. Come on in and thank you for being here. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Come on in, Wealthiest Risings. This message is going to be a message for the collective. My messages are timeless, but when you see them is when you're meant to hear them. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Also, please don't forget to hit the post notification bell so you can get alerts when my videos are posted. If you're new to my platform, welcome. Thank you for being here. Please hit that subscription button. It would totally mean the world to me. Thank everyone for being here. When you see it is when you're meant to hear it, okay? For some reason, that's ringing. All right, and when you see it, you can't unsee it because we got a message here that is definitely not being unseen after this. And I ask that you come into this with an open mind. Just know God don't lie. Men lie, women lie, God don't lie. So depending upon who's talking, who's narrating, somebody lying, okay? It just ain't God though, just so y'all know. Anyway, we're going to start this message off. The title is, If God Doesn't Lie, Then Who Is Really Writing Reality? This Changes Everything. The warning. All right, so first we're going to start off with Surah Al-Fatiha. Please and thank you. Everybody come on in. And after that, we're going to do Psalms 91. Y'all already know how this go. So it's almost like something happening that y'all know the routine. But somebody may try to switch something up on you. And it's discernment. Discernment is key. So you have to have discernment throughout this moment in time. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, most merciful. All praises for Allah, Lord of all worlds, most compassionate, most merciful. Master of the day of judgment, you alone we worship and you alone we ask for help. Guide us along the straight path, the path of those you have blessed, not those you are displeased with or those who are astray. And we're going to go to Psalms 91 because Psalms 91 has been important to this whole entire, mess and mix up because, again, there's a lot of things happening, a lot of people talking, and you have to have some discernment. So whatever rings true to you is going to be what God is talking to you and dealing with you about. So we got Psalms 91. Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Surely He will save you from the fowler's snare and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings he will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rapport. You will not fear the terror of the night, nor the arrows that fly by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. You will only observe with your eyes and see the punishment of the wicked. If you say the Lord is my refuge, and you make the Most High your dwelling, no harm will overtake you, no disaster will come near your tent. For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. They will lift you up in their hands so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. You will tread on the lion and the cobra. You will trample the great lion and the serpent. Because he loves me, says the Lord, I will rescue him. I will protect him, for he acknowledges my name. He will call on me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him with long life. I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. I mean, all right, so over here, mind y'all, I don't even know why I took that long breath and deep sigh. If God doesn't lie, then who really is writing reality? This changes everything. The warning. Now, we're going to go back to Genesis in the Bible, the beginning, okay, of what they said. But mind you, there's a discrepancy, and I keep hearing it over and over and over again, right? So if we know that people have been on the earth for hundreds of thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, 200, 300, 400,000 of years, right? But for some reason, depending upon who's talking or who's narrating, you hear billions. And it's not making sense because we have to be mindful of what they're saying. History, his story. Whoever survives is the person who narrates. Whoever wins is the person that's narrating. Correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. All right. With that being said, if we go back to Genesis, it talks about, not the Genesis, if we go back into the Bible, it is a story in the Bible about a ladder, the Tower of Babel. Everybody coming together to build a ladder because they wanted to reach heaven. Y'all remember that story? Y'all know what a ladder looks like, right? Okay. So, and if you want me to go look it up, I'll look it up. I'll tell you exactly where the Tower of Babel. Actually, I have it right here on my screen. Let me just scroll down because we already talked about this before. Because everything is coming full circle. But mind you, everything didn't begin when the Bible started. Just so you know. So, if you think that time began during the Bible, it didn't. The Bible is only like 4 or 5 thousand years old. The oldest religion, organized religion that they have is less than 10,000 years old. And I'm saying that loosely because it's about 5, 6, 7,000 years. So less than 10. People have been on this earth for hundreds of thousands of years, right? I don't know if any of y'all have watched that show that they have on La Brea. I binge watched something, and I normally don't, but anyway, I did. It's called La Brea. It's on Netflix. Very good show. Very good depiction of time travel also. So the basis of the show is that in 10,000 BC, they have time travel. And so for some reason it's out of 10,000 BC, which ends up going to 1965, or 1988 is when they keep, with the times they keep traveling to, but it's based in the year supposed to be 2021. Anyway, long story short, I'm 50 years old. I remember something happening in time in 1986. They're saying 88, but I remember 86. Anyway, long story short, a big old sinkhole opens up, and in LA in 2021. A bunch of people fall into it, but they don't die. They end up going through a time warp, basically, a sinkhole. Long story short, come to find out, some people have been altering and manipulating time, which is also, one of the things that a lot of people are talking about right now. They're saying that they're noticing glitches in a time, right? And so some people are coming up with multiples of things. And it's happening to a lot of different people. Can't explain it, don't know why, but now all of a sudden there's alien disclosure coming from our government. And also there's, things that they're saying that you're not going to be ready for. But meanwhile, so these people think they have been protecting us, which is the same premise of this show, right? Anyway, so depending upon who's narrating and who's talking, one person is saying that they're trying to help humanity, the other person is trying to control humanity. So that would be altering your free will. Anyway, it starts to create havoc because they start messing up, different areas of, time. And then they have to try to go back and fix this. And then you got the antagonist, somebody that's trying to destroy the machine because they're saying that humanity shouldn't have that much power. Then on top of that, the people who built it are trying to, only benefit their family. which almost seems like everything that's being done right now. The people at the top don't care about nobody below that. They basically are only trying to carry on their bloodline and their lineage. And I'm going to say this right now because this is something that's actively happening. Juan, hi, welcome. Thank you for being here. Something that's actively happening right now, and people been sounding the alarm on the fact that there's a lot of places that are here in our reality that are sinking, land that is sinking. So if you don't know about it, you should probably go look it up because we have Louisiana sinking faster than they knew. We have California sinking faster than we knew. We have part of the East Coast. If nobody knows, I'm from Delaware. The Atlantic Ocean. Anytime I've been going back and forth to Ocean City or Rehoboth Beach, the ocean is getting closer to the mainland. In case y'all don't know, mind you, different countries are actively sinking. And I'm only telling y'all this to ask y'all a question. Where do y'all think all these people are going? Last check, you can Google it. It's about 8 billion people on Earth. And if 8 billion people are on Earth, and not to mention, let me see, we can Google how many people are in New Orleans right now, and New Orleans is seeking, and we know they don't care about them people at all, period. It keeps being a thing. Let's go to Google, because I don't like lying to y'all, and I would prefer, even if it's a, slight interruption, let's just Google it, because that means that that's that many more people that is about to move or have to move somewhere. Where are they going? I live in Georgia. Georgia basically is full, right? If you live, depending upon where you live at, Texas full, upstate full. But mind you, we're gonna have a place for these people to go, because with anything they're gonna move. Mind you, we have these people wanting to argue and fight, about countries and things of this nature. And I keep trying to explain to everybody, we are technically in the modern day. This is the Game of Thrones. It ain't never changed. They've been arguing about land and who claiming what, but mind you, it is a thing where whoever has the most money or whoever feels like they have the most, they're going to make sure that their family, their lineage, their history survives, and they're not going to care about anything else. And this is how the way that the world is being ran. People are easily able to be bribed. Google, let's see, Google, and we're gonna find out how many people. And a lot of people will think that, oh, it's not going to happen during our lifetime. Y'all don't know that, because with anything, the same thing that happened on the show. And again, we're gonna cross reference, a couple of different things. Why? Because art imitates life. And a lot of times when people are in show business and things of that nature, I've watched a lot of the people who create shows and things of that nature. They try to make it as real as possible. And also, sometimes it's the disclosure. They're telling you right in your face how many people, um, how many people live in Louisiana. All right, as of 2026, Louisiana, Louisiana's population is approximately 4.6 million people. 4.6 million residents, ranked 25th to 26th among U.S. states. All right, so if Louisiana is wiped away, a big, strong, freaking earthquake came and Louisiana then shook loose. It's already below sea level. It's already sinking. Ask the people. They'll tell you. All right. How many people live in California? So as of now, that would be 4.6 million people that would have to figure out where to relocate in the US of A, and any state, Mississippi, Alabama, the neighboring states, right? So they would automatically start going in there. From what I understand, Mississippi full, Alabama full, everybody full. But there's 4.6 million people that have to relocate, and the faster, the quicker, the better. Because waiting and trying to relocate, that's going to cause havoc, and they're going to be in the ocean. So a lot of people are probably potentially going to, pass away. All right. So how many people live in California? Well, damn. California is 39.35 million residents, while recent conflicting data suggests that a slight plateau or minor decline. So some people already getting the hell away from there because they already know, right? So how many people are in the USA? And whether or not y'all want to run the other countries, guess what? It's happening there too. So there's nowhere to run to, baby, nowhere to hide. But mind you, this ain't even about this. I'm just giving you the population because when I talk to you about what these people are doing and who is behind it, I need you to realize the depth or the detriment of what this is. So as of 2026, the United States population is estimated around 342 million. Let's see, people according to the U.S. Census Bureau population. All right, so we got, hold on, something ain't right. All right, so 342, we're going to write this down because, again, we got to watch the numbers because this is one of the things too. 342 million people in total in the U.S. Total population, Census Bureau estimate population of 342,486,514 as of May 19th. So 342, 800, no, 486, 512. All right, so, and then we just said that in Louisiana, there is 4.6 million. 4.6 million. All right, and then we said California, but California is not the only place because it's all around. But we just gonna use those two places because they have the most concentration of people. And for anybody that thinks, okay, this can't happen, any fucking thing's possible. Okay. All right, so we got 39.3 million. They got a lot of people in California. All right. So all right, so in 50 states, let's see. We got 50 states, and out of all the states, let's see, who has the biggest population? And then we're gonna go to everywhere. So we got 50 states, and who has the biggest population? Who has the largest population in the US? And this is also one of the other things, right? A lot of people have to realize that numbers are important because I told y'all from the beginning, men lie, women lie. God don't lie. Men can lie about numbers, people can lie about numbers, God don't lie, right? But the men and the women and the people behind it are the ones that normally are lying. Now, based off in ranking, it's a California has 39.3 million. California's on the list. So all of California is bigger than anywhere else. They have the largest population of people. When all of these 39.3 million people start to realize, oh shit, they're going to run, right? And when they run, the next place is Texas. Texas has 31.7 million people there, right? So California, then Texas, then Florida. Florida has 23.4 million people, but mind you, Florida's all surrounded by water. So Florida, depending upon what shifts and what shakes and what shimmies, Florida could be, quickly up out of here too. Mind you, they be scared every time it storms. So there's that. Um, and it gets destroyed on a daily basis. Like if a strong storm comes through there, like they don't even offer flood insurance to nobody around in there. Because I used to work in Florida back and forth, and I used to go down to like the deepest part of Florida, like Naples and places like that. Like Miami's down there on the end, but places like that are very far down there, like when storms and stuff, they get hit the hardest. So, and you got to remember, it's exposed. It's like a little piece that's exposed to everything, right? All right. So we got Florida, we got New York. New York got 20 million. Pennsylvania got 13 million. Those are the top 5 cities. So top 5 populous US cities. Why is it saying 8.4? I don't know what this says. Hold on. So it say 2025 and 2026, California was at 39,000. Texas was at 31. Then it says top 5 populous U.S. cities. It's saying New York is 8.4 million. I mean, yeah, in 2024, 2025. You mean to tell me that many people moved to New York in that short period of time? That's not making sense. Texas and Florida are experiencing the highest growth, while California and New York have seen slight population declines. Something's not right about this because it's not making sense. Anyway, we just gonna go on with whatever else. But this is what Google is saying. So if it's a lie, they telling it. But I don't understand how they increased so big over a year. Because from 8.4 million to 20 million, that's over what, 12 million people, 11 slightly, moved to New York in a year. Y'all think that's right? And then, so I don't know what that part is actually actively saying because it says top 5 most populous U.S. states, 25, 26 estimates. Then it says top 5 most populous U.S. cities. Oh, cities. Okay, so cities. New York has, New York in itself. Okay, I got you. Okay, so California as a whole has 39. So, New York, the whole state has 20 million. Okay, I got you. But New York in itself, a city, um, is 8.4. Damn, that's a lot of people. And Los Angeles, that's not really that big because California is pretty fucking huge. So okay, I get it now. So it's saying city and state, the difference between that. All right. Thank you. Anyway, so the significance of a ladder, right? A ladder is in simple form, it carries a lot of weight across cultures, religions, psychology, and storytelling. A ladder is a connection between two realms. Okay, so just so we're knowing, a ladder is often used to represent a link between earth and sky, human and divine, physical and spiritual states. You use a ladder to climb, right? So for example, in the Bible, the story of Jacob's ladder, Genesis 28, it symbolizes a bridge between heaven and earth, communication between God and humanity. And this is symbolic of where we're going with this because if we got told one thing and punished for that, why would we do another thing? It's like the thing about a seed. A seed gets planted, a seed grows. Depending upon the conditions, like it will flourish in some, conditions, and other conditions it won't. And this condition it could thrive, and this condition it could lay dormant. So we have to pay attention because this is the conversation. If God doesn't lie, if we know God does not lie, then who is really writing reality? And this changes everything. So, that DNA strand, that's a ladder. It's designed as a ladder, a spiral ladder. And although we could be talking about two different systems, it's the same thing. So, back over here. So psychologically and culturally, a ladder represents growth, advancement, leveling up in life, moving from one stage of understanding to another. Same way I just said did that city and state thing. So I was looking at something and I was also missing something. All right. So I'm saying, okay, the New York, because I'm just looking at New York, but not really not seeing that, okay, this says city, this says state. It's easy to misinterpret something. Okay. Which is also a part of the problem. All right, so we got hierarchy and structure. So ladders also symbolize systems where there are levels, social status, climbing the ladder of success. So I'm gonna explain something to y'all that's real simple, and it's gonna be like the most minute, most slowest thing. But anything and everything is only worth what you're willing to pay for it. Anything and everything in life is only worth what you're willing to pay for it. And that's anything. At what cost, right? So over the weekend, I was laughing at, something that came across my screen. Apparently AP, the, high dollar watch company made an affordable AP, $300, right? And mind you, for all intents purposes, I like it. They're colorful. They kind of remind me of, like the Movado, one of the watches, right? The way that the links and everything are. I love Movado, right? So I happen to be looking at a couple of, celebrities. They don't like that because they done spent upwards of $300,000 for, a watch. And now this particular company that was, is a luxury company, and it don't make it less luxury. It just means that now they made it affordable luxury for, mind you, it's a very nice watch, right? So the celebrities that pay for it are, some of them are a little bit upset because they done made it affordable. And for anybody that, likes quality and luxury, a lot of people like for things to be out of other people's reach. So it makes value to them when I can get it and nobody else can. And so for them making it affordable, they done pissed everybody off, but not realizing that um it's the same thing. It's like somebody telling me this weekend, I went to the grocery store and they said, watch this, like, because I went to Walmart and I got a couple things. And Walmart is great value brand, right? But mind you, I done got into reading the ingredients. And so although it says great value brand, it literally, I looked at the ingredients and it has the very same thing, because what some people don't realize is that the most expensive company also makes this, and you're going to pay $10 for it. I read the ingredients. I realized that these two things are the same. So I don't know if they're coming from the same company, but they really say the same exact thing. And so now I paid $2 for it. And so although we understand that, some of these companies are getting a bad rap because of the fact that, this costs this, but this costs $10, this costs $2, but you're paying for the name brand and you're paying for the name, but the same company is making it. Mind you, the company would behoove them to be smart to make something affordable, because then they increase their revenue. And right now, at this moment in time, a lot of people are losing a lot of money. Good morning, Mike. I love you. Thank you for being here. Mike, how was your weekend? So with that being said, I feel like it was the smartest move from AP to do something like that. Anyway, it has nothing to do with nothing other than the fact that this is the culture. They will pay for something that is out of your reach. They will make something out of your reach because they know that there's a select group of people that's going to pay for this. So if we got the lands and everything readjusting and reshifting and everything for all intents purposes, when there is no place to go or when stuff starts to happen, it's going to be a lottery on some things, right? But remember, God is in control. So anyway, social status. We got knowledge and education. So the powers that be, the people that were in charge, or somehow got in charge. We don't know how, who elected them, because I never, voted for none of them, but they were already in structure. They just came over here and said, this the way the system gonna go, start taking stuff, and now we're at a vote. Okay. So now these people are in charge, right? And so they created schools and this, that, and the third, and then they told you that it's illegal for you not to send your kids to school. But meanwhile, they don't send their kids to the very schools that they want you to send your children to. They send their children to schools that actually have real knowledge, higher knowledge, with books and things of that nature that your kids don't have for all intents purposes. When stuff like this gets found, their kids get access to it and your kids don't. So they get access to actual real history, and then they tell your children whatever it is, the narrative, whatever narrative they want to teach, that's what they pitch to you and your children.
The 21st century. The engine.
So right here, there was a okay, so it's right here.
The ceiling. Each tablet tagged with a colophon identifying its contents. The smell of dry clay and bitumen.
Let me rewind a little bit.
Quickening, and it is moving with extraordinary precision toward exactly the kind of knowledge that the Sumerian tablets describe as having been withheld. The knowledge of the code itself, the knowledge that the gods used to create and limit us, the knowledge that, once in our hands, makes the limitation reversible. If this is Enki's project, we are in its final chapters. Everything we know about the Sumerian creation accounts owes its survival to a single act of obsessive royal ambition that took place in the 7th century BCE. Ashurbanipal, the last great king of the Assyrian Empire, was unlike his predecessors. While other kings measured their legacy in conquered cities and slain enemies, Ashurbanipal measured his in tablets. He was, by all accounts, the first true bibliophile of recorded history. A warrior king.
So there's actual tablets that were documented from history. Mike, my weekend was wonderful, and thank you for asking. Majestic Grace, welcome, love you, thank you for being here. Magnificent rising, and period. So they're talking about the Sumerian tablets, right? And so for all intents purposes, things that they will tell us that we're not allowed to put our hands on because of the fact that it is history, but they had their hands on it, and why knowledge is for them and not for anybody else, Lord knows, right? But one of the things that I have found, important and kind of funny about this is that the fact that the internet exists and more people are allowed to actively know stuff is also the reason why certain problems are being solved a whole lot faster than normal.
Could also read and write in both Akkadian and Sumerian, a rare accomplishment even among the educated elite of his time. He dispatched scribes across the entire known world with a singular mission: collect every written text in existence and bring it to Nineveh.
You hear that? Welcome, Pamela. Pamela Adams, thank you for being here. All right, so they did the same exact thing. Find every text, bring it here, because they were building libraries. They felt like their empire was going to be better or better than anybody and everybody else's because these people collected knowledge, which is important.
The library he assembled was staggering. Over 30,000 clay tablets and fragments stacked in rooms beneath the palace floors, organized by subject: astronomy, medicine, law, divination, mathematics, mythology, ritual, and the creation epics that form the backbone of tonight's exploration. If you had walked into that library in the 7th century BCE, you would have seen shelves of clay reaching to the ceiling, each tablet tagged with a colophon identifying its contents. The smell of dry clay and bitumen, the weight of a civilization's memory concentrated in one place. When the British archaeologist Austin Henry Layard excavated Nineveh in 1849,
When the British archaeologist
and his assistant Hormuzd Rassam continued the work, they uncovered this library buried beneath centuries of sand and rubble. And among the tablets was the most complete surviving copy of the Atrahasis epic, the Enuma Elish, and the Epic of Gilgamesh, the text that describe.
Now, just also imagine they find a whole entire complete library, and then they start figuring out what they should tell us, what is real and what is fake.
Describe in detail the creation and limitation of humanity. In 1872, a self-taught Assyriologist named George Smith was translating fragments from Nineveh at the British Museum when he realized he was reading a flood narrative that predated the biblical account by at least 1,000 years. The discovery caused a public sensation. Smith reportedly became so excited that he began undressing in the workroom. The story was that significant. The parallels were that undeniable. The fact that these texts survived at all is remarkable. The fact that.
But meanwhile, a lot of us will never ever get to lay our hands, eyes, anything on them. at all, period. Your children will never get taught anything about it. But higher learning is only for a select group of people. Is that what y'all think? Because I don't think that. I think that learning and being taught anything is for whoever wants to learn it and whoever wants to be taught. Not trying to hide things, because this is part of what's actively happening right now. Certain groups of people think that knowledge, information is only for them. Certain groups of people think that anything and everything that is found in history or throughout history only belongs to them. And so your kids get taught, God forbid, whatever that is in school, a bunch of lies, because that's what I feel like we got taught. Power structures, organizations, and authority. We're now under a system and in a system that don't represent the people. And the people are starting to realize. At first, the people thought that, oh, well, if you're a certain complexion, then, oh, the system represents, da 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 da. Meanwhile, now everybody's starting to realize that this is not representation. So now you have people making decisions, because remember I told you there's a show called La Brea that if you have not seen it, maybe you should want to go look at it, because it gave very a very good account of what could potentially be happening, especially for y'all that are noticing the time glitches and things of that nature, right? And I'm gonna even go as far as to say this. It kind of made me think about something. Everybody's talking about data centers and everything else popping up, right? But I promise you, there's something that's in there that made me think that, what if it's more than a data center? What if these centers are actively controlling time and things of that nature? And I'm gonna tell you what made me think that. Because everybody keeps talking about the data centers and the amount of water that it takes to, run these data centers. And why is the water no good after that, right? Now, in the show, the series La Brea, um, their time machine, because somebody made a time machine over here, and then somebody else took the technology and they made a time machine over here. The time machine, um, they found the second one, and then what ended up happening was they sent some people back. They started overheating. And the man said that the reason why it was overheating was because there was no water. So what ended up happening was a tree had fell over top of the system. So somebody had to go move the tree off the system so the water can start pumping back into where the cooling system was, because this is how they cool the machine down. Because you got to imagine, running a time machine would create, or any type of thing would create, a whole lot of heat and a whole lot of energy. And nobody has to believe me at all, period. Like, I know people are going to run from the conversation, but meanwhile, they talking about aliens and some other shit. What's in the data centers? A lot of people don't know what's in the data centers, right? But everybody knows that and realizes that there's data centers popping up all over the place. Georgia was on fire for, I don't even know, the fire could still be going, I don't know, but Georgia was on fire for weeks recently, last week. And everybody kept saying that the areas were areas that they wanted to put data centers in. Now mysteriously and miraculously they're burning down. Mind you, not the only thing. Virginia has it. And so for some people who, maybe this may be too much for you, you might need to start and go look up some stuff, because this is actively happening right in our face. And of course, they would never give us the truth. And what is really fully a data center? Anyway, so long story short, back to La Brea. Um, so they finally got the water system flowing in there, right? And so there was these rods that they were mining from certain areas. Mind you, remember when the flood happened in Virginia, they didn't want to help the people, and then all of a sudden they went in there and they started mining natural resources. So there's these actual rods that they're mining on the show, right? And so these rods are what powers these machines. Anyway, long story short, this is what it made me think. And this ain't got nothing to do with that. It just is the thing that sparks, in your brain. Now, water has memory. This world is made up of, a large amount of water. We can go Google it, find out the exact number, because I told y'all I don't like lying to y'all. Anyway, a lot of the water they can't use. So I guess it has to be fresh water, but this is the thing. The water has memory. y'all do realize that when AI came about, because they saying that the data centers are AI, right? Excuse me. Don't know if this technology exists, but it made me think that. And since we got scientists that are coming up missing, I'm gonna just say that ain't nothing off the table for me, right? All right. So if water's memory and they're trying to collect information and knowledge, they're killing the water once they get the information from the water. And so once it goes through these cooling systems, and the only reason why I'm thinking that is because they were able to interpret. They After they made AI was the thing that allowed them to interpret hidden language. AI is what allowed them to interpret to because they wouldn't tell us what certain things are. Now we can insert, anything into AI, and AI will give us, oh, this is what they said. And so it shouldn't make a difference as to, and I'm gonna just use this for reference. Um and let's see, because I don't want to lie to y'all. I told y'all I don't like that. So if it's gonna be a lie, they gonna tell it. When did All right, so this is a little bit of history. Um and Adolf Hitler gave more than 1,500 speeches throughout his political career, spanning from 1919 to 1945. Because he spoke so often, the speeches usually refer to one of several major turning points. So his first public speech was October the 16th, 1919. That's funny. That's my mom's birthday. Not 1919, but October 16th. Given Okay, his first speech as chancellor was February the 10th, 1933. His prophecy speech was January 30th, 1939. It says one of his most infamous, given to the Reichstag, where he prophesied the annihilation of the Jewish race in Europe if war broke out. Declaration of war in Poland was September the 1st, 1939, delivered to the Reichstag. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. On the morning Germany invaded Poland, marking the World War II. His last public speech was January 30th, 1945, right? And so for some reason, because they speak German, coming from Germany, why because we got to remember to ask the right question. So I want to make sure I ask the right question, because I'm talking to y'all, and a lot of this stuff, like if I don't get it right, it's going to get flagged. And I don't want it to get flagged because it's important. I wonder if the data centers are for the future 15-minute cities they plan on building. I don't even know what them are. What are 15-minute cities? Um, Now, for all intents and purposes, this is something, because a lot of people didn't know what he said until AI deciphered what he said, right? Now, it's weird because there's people that speak German all over the world. Why did nobody interpret what he said for us before that? And then furthermore, it's right here, the Washington Post is where I'm gonna cite this information from. And it says, um, the Washington Post, democracy dies in darkness. So this was more than a year ago, September the 27th, 2024. The far right is using AI to sell Hitler to the new generation. It says videos of Nazi leaders speaking in English are reaching millions online. Experts fear that they are fueling a surge of anti-Semitism. Extremists are using artificial intelligence to reenact Adolf Hitler online for a new generation, recasting that the Nazi German leader who orchestrated the Holocaust as a misunderstood figure whose anti-Semitic and anti-immigration messages are freshly resonate in politics today. An audio and video clips that have reached millions of viewers over the past month on TikTok, X, Instagram, and YouTube. Um, they clone his voice, quavers, and consciousness to those delivers English language version of some of the most notorious addresses, including the 1939 Reichstag speech. I know I'm not pronouncing that right, so forgive me. Predicting the end of Jewish people in Europe. Some seeking to spread and practice and making Hitler videos have hosted online trainings. All right, so they're giving information, but they're able to now interpret what he said, right? So let me go down here, document from something, something, something. Now, kill, steal, and destroy. Um, I don't condone any of it, right? This is not what we here for. But the thing is this: who's doing the killing, stealing, and destroying? Because when it was happening, and this is what they're saying, when it was happening, he said he had a reason for it, and his reason was, whatever his reason was. Did it make it right? Don't know. But what I'm starting to notice is that these same people who claim that they went through this are actively, now having bad behavior. And again, I'm not judging none of it. And that has nothing to do with nothing. All I'm explaining is that the person who survives, the person who is narrating will tell you the history and tell you the story. Again, we're talking about God, right? Because God already set fail-safe mechanisms into the system for us to be able to determine who's who and what's what. And I'm gonna say this again: if we got punished, right? Because there's a story in the Bible, a biblical story that says that the humans try to create a ladder to get into heaven. And I'll go and look up the actual text and what it says, but it was forbidden. Everybody got knocked down. Everybody had, got dispersed throughout the lands. And this is the reason why nobody can understand anybody, going forward, right? That was the story that they gave. So again, if it's a lie, it's one that they're telling. It's one that they have, perpetuated and gave to people, throughout history, which is only, again, and we can go look up the time of biblical text, is less than 10,000 years, when people have been on the earth for more than hundreds of thousands of years, right? And like I said, also I'm learning because in different texts it's saying billions. And so then who narrated the hundreds of thousands of years? I ain't figured it out yet, but when I do, I'll let y'all know, because I'm actively paying attention to, I'm hearing that term. All right, forgive me, y'all. I had to send somebody something. Anyway, so be mindful, because DNA is a different ladder strain. You mean to tell me that we got knocked down from wanting to go into the stars and talk to God, but you mean to tell me that God was going to allow these people to corrupt DNA and nothing gets said about it? Nothing gets done about it. Mind you, their gene splicing has been going on for a while. And then I also want to actively say this, because it is, a person has to think, like, we have to put on our thinking caps, right? Because a lot of us are going to be punished for things that we did not do. But if we are in agreement with it, whether it be by willingly or passively, like not, like seeing it, knowing it, and still not saying nothing and doing nothing about it, it's important, because power structures, organizations, and authority. People are claiming power over, the planet. People are claiming power over people. People are claiming, people are just doing stuff, whatever they want to do without, the permission of the masses, the amount of people that's here. So it often reflects how humans organize, progress, and rank, right? The other thing that I watched. So on 10,000 BC and on La Brea, 10,000 BC, when the people fell through the sinkhole, right? Because they only knew what they knew. They only knew like how the system is set up. So these people later on, they instantly started wanting to vote people in power, like, who's going to be the leader. And although somebody was making a joke, like, I guess we're gonna have to pay our property taxes in oranges, it just goes to show how you can get a fresh start and still almost fall into the same problems, right? And for all intents purposes, they were trying to work together. But then this is the other thing: there were people already in existence in 10,000 BC, right? And so they started to run into the groups that was there, but be mindful that now the land is being corrupted even at that time. And I know this is, so you have to follow when I'm talking about the show and when I'm talking about here. All the same shit though. Um, so there was people that was already living there, and so they some of the people started to integrate with, the people that already lived there. And it was funny to see how, because they already lived there, this is actually actively their time, and they're talking about how the sky people is what they called us, the people that fell through the cracks. The sky people, the people who lived in 2020 something, um they were different from the people that lived there because the people that lived there believed in community. The sky people believed in, if it don't work the way you want it to, then you fight with a person. It's individuality, and not realizing like collectively this is how you stay alive. Collectively we have to all, understand that this is, this is the unit. Mind you, I also explained to y'all in modern day right now in this point in time, somebody did a dissertation, and in their dissertation they noted how the mother or women, the nurturing, the collective, the family unit, the caring about somebody else actually actively is what gets, a revolution done and a revolution started. Maybe not those words, but that's what keeps humanity together and going. So throughout history and throughout time, because again, we still talking about, I'm gonna go over here. Let me see, because I want to make sure I give y'all the area. Um there's been a narrative being painted, right, throughout our time since this Bible started, right? And I'm gonna just tell y'all what it is. Patriarchy, the thing where they continue to keep making the woman to be the bad guy or the fall of humanity. And it's playing out even right now with the arguments and things that men and women are having, but not realizing that's them. Like, you can tell when God is involved in something, and you can tell when they, the powers, the people that are trying to manipulate. It's almost like when I said everything is upside down, and y'all have to see it for yourself, because I can't tell a person like right here, the Tower of Babel. It's Genesis 11, 1 through 9, Tower of Babel. Humanity at the time spoke one language and shared the same words. This is the way we started. This is the way humanity started. Even if you go look up AI, even if you go into genetics and this, that, and the third, because mind you, DNA strand testing, they just started that too. And even when that started, like, y'all can tell where the corruption in time started to happen, and not that it would be a bad thing that you could figure out, who the baby pappy is. That would be a great thing. But it's all the stuff that happens behind the scenes that we don't know what they're doing and that they're using things for, because y'all, they done some stuff. So Genesis 1 and 9, the Tower of Babel. It's in 11, 1 through 9. Humanity at the time spoke one language and shared the same words. People settled in a land called Shinar and decided to build a city with a tower reaching to the heavens. Their goal was to make themselves um, was to make a name for themselves and avoid being scattered across the earth. God observed what they were doing and says that if they remain unified in this way, nothing they plan will be impossible for them. But it's funny because why would God not want us to be a collective? You see what I'm saying? There's something in the mix of this. Because I get why we would not be allowed or should not be trying to make a name for yourself is arrogance, but it's basically they're saying that God corrupted the collective. Men lie, women lie, God don't lie. God didn't want us to make a tower into heaven to make a name for ourselves. A ladder, which is climbing, your DNA is a ladder. So you mean God didn't want us to create a ladder going into heaven, but God wanted us to corrupt and manipulate DNA? It's not making sense. And so then it started to dawn on me like there's a lot of things that are almost the same. Like you can almost tell like something is not right because it's not making sense. The key to us winning is to be together. And you mean to tell me that God would try to separate us? It's not making sense. So again, there's truth and a lie. There's a little bit of truth and a lie. Mind you, God always there's a fail-safe mechanism for us to be able to see. It's like what I told you about the star seeds. They're saying that, oh, they're going to plan a narrative that says that, such and such. But a star seed, if you recognize and you resonate with that system and that scenario, that would mean that it's a seed from the stars. That would mean that it wasn't a seed from here. So here we are with this ladder thing. What's the significance of a ladder? We already went over that. So significance of a ladder. A ladder is a simple in form, but symbolically it carries a lot of weight across cultures, religion, psychology, and storytelling. Connection between two realms. A ladder is often used to represent a link between earth and sky, human and divine, physical and spiritual states. Mind you, there's a book called The Broken Ladder. And at one point in time, it was on the it don't matter about that. Anyway, the broken ladder talks about the system. How just miles away you can take the same a person from the same area as this person, move them up the ladder a little bit, and they will be different. Or you could take a system that is somebody right here and then a block that's right over. You could take a person from this hood, excuse me, move them to the suburbs, give them a little, hand up or something, whatever, however you want to talk about it, and it creates a different entity, a different energy. Why are ladder symbolic? Psychologically and culture, ladder represents growth, advancement, leveling up in life, moving from one stage of understanding to another. Climate implies effort, struggle, and direction. Our DNA strand. How does a DNA strand look? Like a ladder. But mind you, right here, it's actively talking about how they turned off some of our DNA. And if you think they can't turn off DNA, go look up the science of this.
They were deliberately collected and preserved. The human genome could be intentionally modified before birth. In November 2003, a Chinese researcher named He Jiankui announced that he had used CRISPR to edit the genomes of 2 human embryos, twin girls, modifying a gene called CCR5. to make them resistant to HIV infection. The announcement...
They made a baby, 2 girls, twin girls, that were not able to get the HIV. They genetically modified their DNA. Now, for all intents and purposes, everybody would say, oh, that's a great thing that they were able to take that out. But y'all not paying attention to the fact that they literally tampered with the human child or embryo's genetics. So for everything that it could do good, we don't know.
Sent shockwaves through the scientific community, not because the technology failed, because it worked. Humanity had crossed a threshold that had been discussed in theoretical terms for decades. We had edited a living human genome. We had done what only the gods were supposed to do. Think about that in the context.
We have only done what the gods were supposed to do, but meanwhile, we created a fucking tower and a ladder, and we got punished for that. And you mean to tell me that now God is allowing that? It ain't adding up. It's not adding up. You're not going to tell me that God punished us for building a tower. Like, we wasn't even tampering with nobody's free will. We wasn't manipulating somebody's physical energy. And you mean to tell me God is allowing that, but we couldn't create a tower? It's not making sense. So we can manipulate one ladder, but not another. So it's okay when they do it. Yeah. And whether or not it is against anything or for everything, it is who is narrating and why is it important for it to be done. Transformation or access to forbidden knowledge. In myth and symbolic thinking, ladders sometimes represent reaching beyond human limits. We couldn't do this, but we can do that. We got punished for this, but you mean to tell me we're not getting punished for this? Attempting to access hidden knowledge. Crossing boundaries between what is allowed and what is unknown. They also talk about turning off our DNA. So in case y'all don't know, and in case you don't believe it, it's already being said. We're not accessing, let's see if I can find this point. We're not accessing certain points of our DNA. Why? Because they didn't want us to. They don't want us to. They're going to stop us every time.
Exercise does it too. A single workout alters the methylation patterns of hundreds of genes. So does diet. Specific compounds in broccoli, in grapes, in turmeric have been shown to directly modify the chemical tags that determine which genes are active and which are silent, and trauma does it. The children of famine survivors carry different methylation patterns than their peers. The grandchildren of Holocaust survivors show altered stress response genes. The body records what happens to it and transmits the record forward. But healing...
And y'all don't think y'all having that right now? They trying to stress everybody the fuck out. I'm gonna replay it again from a little sooner so that way y'all can hear what it said.
It is comparatively primitive, as though the system were designed for something far more capable than what we currently use it for.
They're talking about your DNA.
6. The connection, the severing of cosmic awareness. You're not separate from the cosmos. Your biology is woven into it. This is not poetry. It is established science. Your cells contain cryptochrome proteins, the same proteins that birds use to sense the Earth's magnetic field for navigation. In fruit flies, cryptochromes have been shown to enable a form of quantum-level magnetic sensing. Whether human cryptochromes serve a similar function is still being investigated, but the proteins are there, in your cells, expressed and active.
Now, this is one of the things. If the ladder that we were creating into heaven to talk to God because we wanted to get closer to God. But God said we couldn't do that because we would make a name for ourselves. So you mean to tell me God is allowing the person, because they said a Chinese God, so he was allowed to make a name for himself. But they put in a book thousands of years ago that it was not accepted, unallowed. So is God lying, or are these people lying? Because God don't lie. So now, if they were the same kind of system, what would it mean? So if we treat it as a system, it's symbolic of the same exact thing. Babel, the Tower of Babel, and the DNA, CRISPR, right? Because CRISPR for some reason kept coming up to me. I'm like, what the fuck is that? But again, something about 1986 is definitely important. And I don't know why, but something about 1986, they did something, right? Could have something to do with this, could not. Anyway, so if reality is coded in multiple layers, then that would imply that spoken language is code for communication, which also would mean that your DNA is code for communication. Your DNA is code for communication. Your DNA is a roadmap. Everything you need has already been put into you. God made sure that you were who you are this moment, this time, everything was important. But also, when you woke up into an algorithm, into these people's system. They've been controlling everything from day one. Feed the baby on this schedule. The baby should be asleep at this schedule. When the baby it gets a certain age, the baby got to go to Head Start. The baby got to go to kindergarten. The baby got to do this. The baby got to do that. It's never you being allowed to do what you wanted to do at all, period. Allowing your body to grow and develop the way you want it to. Mind you, just so y'all know, there's another thing where there's people that they kind of observe throughout their time. Good morning, Cornelius. They observe throughout their time, and so and these people never been on a schedule. They live longer. They're healthier. Their children are more like aware about just it is a whole science behind this. In case y'all don't know, look it up if you want to find out about it. So cutting off part of your code or your connection to God. But mind you, if they're allowed to manipulate the DNA, the ladder's already inside of you. And so that ladder of Jacob's ladder or the Tower of Babel could be symbolic of your DNA, you accessing your DNA. And so human systems, cities, technology, society are all different expressions of the same underlying information structure. And the framing, everything becomes readable and editable just at different levels. Edit, not not eat. Edit, to edit. And this is how you edit.
Circadian rhythm, the internal clock that governs sleep, hormone production, body temperature, and cellular repair, is synchronized not just to the 24-hour cycle of day and night, but to deeper cycles as well. Research has demonstrated that human biology responds to lunar cycles. A study published in Science Advances in 2021 found that human sleep patterns oscillate with the 29-day lunar cycle, with people sleeping less and going to bed later in the days leading up to a full moon. This effect was observed even in populations without electricity, suggesting it is not driven by moonlight alone, but by an internal biological sensitivity to the lunar gravitational.
Because humans are interacting with creation through code, through our DNA. God is talking to us. We're talking to God. We are
electromagnetic cycle. Your body responds to solar activity as well. Studies have correlated geomagnetic storms, disturbances in the Earth's magnetic field caused by solar flares, with increases in hospital admissions for cardiovascular events, changes in melatonin production.
So just imagine when it would be like you trying to get closer to God, and then all of a sudden the language being corrupted, right? So if you take that term, for all intents purposes, and that would also mean that this could be the reason why it's like, that voice that's talking to you, you having some discernment. This is the reason why you having a hard time trusting that, because it's speaking a different language, a different code. Honorary Celestine, hi, welcome. Thanks for being here. Good morning. Billy, hi, welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm going over here to Honorary Celestine to see what you said.
Alterations in blood pressure. The mechanism is still being investigated, but the correlation is statistically robust across multiple studies spanning decades. Indigenous cultures around the world have preserved this understanding in their traditions. Australian Aboriginal peoples describe the dream time, a dimension of consciousness where the individual connects with the cosmic order, with the land, with the patterns of stars and seasons. Andean traditions speak of Pachamama, the living earth, and the reciprocal relationship between human consciousness and the natural world. Hindu cosmology describes the Akashic field, a universal repository of information accessible to every
Amazon publishing isn't some brand new idea.
Honorary Celestine said that's because the human body is 85% water and the moon controls the tides, the ocean, so the moon also influences the water on our body. Hello. She's basically talking about when a guy said about how our body reacts to lunar, the cycles. Thank you for that.
Described the Anunnaki as beings who understood the movements of the stars with extraordinary precision. The Malapin tablets, among the oldest astronomical records in existence, catalogue star positions, planetary cycles, and celestial events with a level of accuracy that has astonished modern astronomers. But the texts do not describe this knowledge as calculated from observation alone. They describe it as perceived, as a form of direct knowing that extended beyond the boundaries of the body into the cosmic field itself. When the Lulu was created, this connection was diminished, not severed entirely. Humans retained a dim awareness of cosmic rhythms, enough to plant crops by the seasons, enough to feel the pull of the tides, enough to know that something shifts inside us when the moon is full. But the direct conscious experience of cosmic unity was withheld. Humans could see the stars, but they could not feel them the way the gods did. The Enuma Elish, the Babylonian creation epic, describes the cosmos as a living body. Marduk fashions the heavens from the body of Tiamat, the primordial goddess.
So mind y'all, there's a lot of stuff, right, that was actually already actively given to us. And then somebody else tried to control the way that it was being given, the way it was distributed, or whether or not we needed to know it or not, because it was going to mess up their narrative. Right. And so even now, when they're coming out with, and the only reason why this is important is because they're trying to, again, control the narrative. And they're saying that, people prepping their people. And they're going to say that there's a narrative that's being pushed that we were, whatever it is that they're saying, alien, da 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 this, da 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 that. None of this is new. None of it's new. Documentation that was given. It is when they're saying given full disclosure, they're not giving full disclosure. What they're going to give is something that helps them kind of control the narrative and paint another picture instead of just telling the truth. So evolution, connection between humanity and God, spiritual growth, DNA, or generations. So over here, let me see if I can get to, because I have to go through a couple of different areas on here. And if y'all want to know what this is, the things that they hid in your DNA, that's what it is.
Most structurally complex regions clustered around.
Majestic Grace said more than half the truth. Yes, that's all they're going to do. So they're going to say full disclosure. It's not a full disclosure. These people have been manipulating for a very long time. They have the information. They found the information. Mind you, humans would be so much further along if they would stop tampering, but for all intents purposes they think that they're doing us a favor, or they think that they're helping humanity. Mind you, how are you helping humanity hindering what God already gave us? How are you doing that? You're interfering, you're corrupting.
Been withheld. The knowledge of the code itself, the knowledge that the gods used to create and limit us, the knowledge that, once in our hands, makes the limitation reversible, If this is Enki's project, we are in its final chapters.
And it's funny because you hear how it talks about even this is what the gods previously going on into, because even at the beginning of Genesis, when God is talking, God starts using words like we, us, this, that, and the third. Mind you, who would these people, the people that are the scientists right now, that are able to, genetically modify, Renee, good morning, that are able to genetically modify, why would God give us seeds and things of that nature, give us knowledge, information, and then they genetically modify it and then sell it to us? This is how you know the difference between what God is doing and what they are doing. Because in order to push their narrative is always to be sold to the highest bidder, corrupted by whoever can pay the most. It's only allowing, if you can pay how you weigh to be in this system, then this is how this system is. It's like I told y'all all the time, you're training your kid to grow up to be, off balance. So if you're having children in this system, like, and a lot of us have done it. We have done it throughout time and throughout history, not realizing that, because we believed in it. We believed in the fairy tale, the dream, like grow up and you can be whatever you want to be. Be a good person. But mind you, bad people are running the system. And I don't want to be on the men for any reason, because all men are not all men are not created equal. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because as far as women are concerned, whoever is a part of the system and running the system, it has to do with males. Whatever genetic malfunction or genetic flaw, it's male, and not all of them. Because again, I know we have to work together, but if we look at the system throughout time, throughout history, they try to paint the feminine as such a hard sell. First, when even in Genesis at the beginning it says God created male and female, and male and female he created them. That was masculine and female at the same time. Somehow, whoever, and this is where organized religion, and this is why I'm telling you, they are the ones that corrupted the system. Whatever that is, they corrupted the system. And so there was masculine and feminine created. Go look at it, because it's there. And then somehow in the next couple day or two, it says Adam got bored, and then they created a female from a rib. But in the original story of Genesis, man and woman he created, and woman and man he created, and woman and man he created he. Same time. So then there's a story that they talk about Lilith, which is the first person that was there with Adam, the female, right? And just in masculine or whatever state this is, because it's given, like, whoever created this had to have been part of the demon squad. And I'm going to say that. Don't know why, but I can tell you why. In order to control, you have to give it a god. And so it's like, I told y'all about Anubis, going into the afterlife. There was a need, so you have to create, it's cause and effect. You have to give it what is needed in order to be able to control it. So in order to control the afterlife, here we are. We got to create a god that goes into the afterlife that is a protector. So in order to control, I have to give it a god. I have to name it something. So here we go. So then if they give you the story, because again, there's a little bit of truth in a lie, and you have to decipher, because again, it's like thinking of it like this. And not that this is the case, but if you love God, save God. If you love God, save God. So we got an entity that has now inserted itself into the system, an antagonist that has inserted itself into the situation. And we have to decipher if this is God or if this is God. God is love. God teaches us to, collectively work together. Whoever this is telling us that it's only cool when they do it. It's only cool when they do it. Do as I say, not as I do. But God is teaching us and telling us that this is how we win. The collective has to be together. So now we got to decipher who is, painting the picture for us. And how I'm determining who's painting the picture for us is this. If you're saying that God created man and woman, because it's always balanced when God does it. It only goes off balance when they do it. So when God creates both things, right? All right, so now they got to figure out what happened with the original female. Where did she go? But mind you, just so y'all know, this is not the original female. This is just the female that was created at this point in time. Whatever was happening. Just like he ain't the original male, because there was people that was there before them. That's just during this moment in time. Like even throughout history, and I got a book right here that can show you the illustrated guide of the lost symbols. That's a book that they put in history. It was about 18 something. So the book talks about the symbols that are on land right here in the United States. It talks about everything that's at the White House, this, that, and a third. And it'll tell you that in 18 such and such and such, this is when everything was built. This is when da 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 da. But this is the moment in history that they just want us to focus on. They're not going to tell you that the White House is on stolen land. The indigenous people that lived here before them, they came and took it. It literally says that some white man owned it. There was not a white man here. It was indigenous people that lived here hundreds of thousands of years, but you're going to have to go dig for this. So the White House is on stolen land. They're not paying no mortgage, no rent. But meanwhile, out here every day actively, they costing making you go pay bills. Meanwhile, also the indigenous people that were here, they wouldn't let them sell their own property. So if I was here before, they showed up, and they showed up with their talking papers, and they said, hear ye, this land has now been taken, and they speak in this language, and I'm looking at them like upside their head, like, what the fuck are they saying? And all they're doing is just wave around, and we looking at each other like, what are they saying? And all of a sudden now they start locking you up, and they locking your kids up, and the man said, hide your kids, hide your wife. Nobody hid the kids, hid the wife. And then all of a sudden, now you're in the fisticuffs and you're being, moved around. And now you're being forced to do stuff, for people. But they talking about these talking papers. I don't even know what the hell they say. That's illegal. And so then the picture that they painted is they said that the White House, that land was swampland. That was a lie, because if you go dig further, it will tell you that the indigenous people that were here, they had everything. They were farming, they were this, they were this, they were this. But because they want us to think only from a small version of 1846, whatever the fuck time it is that they said, because that's what it is, they want us to just start from there. You're not going to force us to start from your history. We have to go to the beginning. Anyway, long story short, even in the funny part about La Brea, the show, is that the original woman, guess what they named her? Eve. The lady's name is Eve, even in the show. So it's a thing, right? But it says in Genesis, and I can go to it, and you can go look it up yourself. Why would they give you that? Why would they give you religion and the form and fashion that they gave it to us? And then you can also go look at when this person said, oh, you don't need to have this. Like, oh, we can take this out. Like, let's cross this out because we got the tablets. I just told you, the man said we got the tablets. The tablets say this. You are the person that's actively living at that time, but they said, oh no, we can't put that in there. That's not gonna push our narrative. No. We're gonna rewrite this, and we're gonna say, during this time, this is what happened. Mind you, they're actively telling you the truth while they're also lying to you, because they will tell you when this happened, we can't send you here because it's people over here. So if y'all go look, it is literally parts in that book that will tell you there was already people somewhere running around here. So why didn't you put it in the beginning? Why did you cross this out? Why did you not say, why did you do this? And they gave you the original tablets, and now you say that no, we're not going to do this. And then now in 2026, they saying, oh, well, we're getting ready to drop some information, and it's going to, have y'all discombobulated because it's going to mess up the narrative that we already painted. But we want to give you a new one. And then y'all get ready to be out here believing them. We not believing them. Fool me once, shame on you. I wonder if the data centers are for the. Oh, I read that. I said I don't know what those are though. The 15-minute series, I don't know what those are. Billy said, "Hi sis, very interesting. Thank you, Cornelius. Good morning, Honorary Celestine. Okay, I read all that. Let me go down here. Renee said, human changed all of our life cycles is what I believe. More than truth, you have the truth. Yes. I don't know what you mean, Renee. I think you missing something on there, so you have to look at that sentence and tell me what else is being said. She said yes. Honorary Celestine says God created male and female, the Lord and the Holy Spirit. The Lord created Adam from Adam. The Lord separated Eve from Adam. You believe that if you want. You're going to be one of the people that is going to be full gullible. So when they prep you for what's about to happen next, because I can tell. Like if you can't read that and say like I'm not going to change the story. I'm gonna just read what's there. You want to change the story because that's not what it said. It didn't say that till later. So did they tell the truth in the first sentence or did they lie and then they repeat it? Either way, that's not what they said. That's not what was written there. So, again, I ain't gonna argue with you. I put your ass on mute real quick because I know what type of person you are. You want to argue and I ain't got time for it. So, we're gonna figure out what type of day we gonna have, okay? But you do with information what you will, because I ain't, gonna debate about it. It's right there. You can go read it for yourself. Let's see. Then the original woman was Earth. Renee, I feel we all need to go back and learn and live like the Bible. So many distractions to go back and live like the Bible started. I beg to differ because again, a reset is going to be what they want. And that's not what we're going to do because a reset is a decline. Restoration is what God, when we return back to God, this is the thing. And so we have to know that God was God before that. And again, I ain't, here to debate with nobody, argue with nobody. Believe what you want to believe. I'm going to just tell you what's on my menu because, again, I believe in documentation for me because whatever they do and they try to glitch us and try to make us not remember, I'm going to make sure I remember that not to trust them. They can't be trusted. Somebody is trying to put themselves in God's feet and in God's shoes, and I'm not going to let it happen on my watch. Y'all do that because I'm paying attention, and you're not going to tell me that God knocked down. You created a story, and it said that God knocked down the people and dispersed them different languages. That was the story, and whether or not it is a allegory or whether or not it is a just a story. And then now you out here splicing and doing all types of other things to genetics and everything else. So this literally said things that God did. Like you're trying to elevate yourself above God. You're trying to play God. You're creating life. You're trying to destroy life. But meanwhile, when God said when you went into that seed, or when God, granted you permission to be here, this is when your life started. Somebody else is trying to tell you that you can't be here. You have to be less than because that's what they wish to. I'm not buying it. They're never going to get me to buy it. There are 4 different things created. The first chapter speaks of 2 different beings. Again, like if you're going to talk about it, put what it say. The chapter speaks about 2 different beings. The first chapter tells how the Lord and the Holy Spirit. See, again, like you put what's there. Put what's there. We don't want to hear your story. We want to hear what's there. And I gave you what's there. And so past that, like it's a whole sidetrack, and I ain't got it for you. I never have it for you. I'm never gonna have it for you. Period. Chapter 2 is how humans were created, Adam and Eve. Well, again, I gave you what's there. Go look it up. Cause I done said it 9,000 times. We done went over it. I literally spoke it. I got it on different videos. You can go back and catch up to now, but I know what was said. And you're not gonna convince me of what you're saying. This is the difference when I can read and I read it out loud to everybody. So do with that information what you will. Yep, that's how I like you, Honorary Celestine, quiet. Because, again, go to your own channel and get on there and talk to people and lie to them all day. I'm not going to be a liar, okay? Because if it's a lie, I'm going to tell you what they said. And we're going to hold them accountable for what they said. Your channel works just as good as mine. All you have to do is go push record. And if anybody wants to listen to your bullshit, they'll come over there and listen to it. I don't. So I'm not going to let you put it on my channel, okay? Because I said what I said. And I don't play with people's kids. I keep trying to tell y'all I'm too grown for that. Anyway, so a broken ladder could symbolize humanity losing connection to the divine. That would be one of the things, because if they can control what you're learning and they can control what you know, that would be you losing connection to God. Genetic tampering, disrupting natural evolution. We already established that they're doing that. Spiritual decline, do with that information what you will, but what they're going to say is, oh, it's on spiritual decline for this because it's already a prophecy. They're saying turning away from this, but meanwhile it's like a backhanded thing. I gave you something that wasn't true, and only to put into the system that there's going to be, there's going to be a turning away, da 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 da. But no, there's a reckoning, because people understand that you told lies. So turning back ain't to you, it is to God. God was God, and God is going to be God before and after, the middle, the end, and the beginning. God is God. And so people want you to believe that this was God, but meanwhile it's not adding up, because it's not making sense. You can't tell me that God says be this and God does this, but meanwhile now you're doing all the wrong things. It's not going to make sense, and it don't make sense. Corruption of the human blueprint. Is that not corruption of the human blueprint? They're right now actively doing genetics and corrupting genes, removing stuff. They're now saying that they are the person. They are, mind you, they making human life in a lab. Designer humans. Does that not take God out of the system or simulation? Does that even say that designer humans, does that say that they even have a God spark in them? Because when you came into existence, that is God allowing you to, create life and come into the system. What are they creating? Because what is that given? Is it even remotely the same? And now you out here getting ready to, they grow up, and your kids or, grandkids or whatever, now you start to, because they put them into human society, like the Cabbage Patch Kids that they was talking about. They put them into human society, and now you out here breeding and this, that, and the third. And now, is that a hybrid? Because it's not something that God made, it's something that they made. They're creating soulless beings. Yeah, and then hey Katrina, love you. Thank you for being here. How was your day, Katrina? And then also, but now you got to remember, they're having babies with your babies or with you. So what does that mean for this system? So whether humans were told the full truth about creation, DNA, consciousness, or history, mind you, this is how you actively turn back on some of your system.
Sumerian creation accounts owes its survival to a single act of obsessive royal ambition that took place in the 7th century BCE. Ashurbanipal, the last great king of the Assyrian Empire, was unlike his predecessors. While other kings measured their legacy in conquered cities and slain enemies, Ashurbanipal measured his entire...
Oh, that's the one that was talking about the time. So I'm going to go back to where it was talking about like sleeping, eating, and things of that nature is how you get to actively turn back on some of your DNA.
A single workout alters the methylation patterns of hundreds of genes. So does diet. Specific compounds in broccoli, in grapes, in turmeric have been shown to directly modify the chemical tags that determine which genes are active and which are silent, and trauma does it. The children of famine survivors carry different methylation patterns than their peers. The grandchildren of Holocaust survivors show altered stress response genes. The body records what happens to it and transmits the record forward. But healing changes the record too. Psychotherapy has been shown to rewrite the epigenetic signature of traumatic experience. The idea that consciousness and intention can influence biology is not mysticism. It is epigenetics.
I have seriously
Epigenetics.
always wanted to start a fairy garden, and I just heard that Hobby Lobby is doing 40% off this week.
To its logical conclusion. If a sufficiently aware being understood its own genome, if it could consciously direct the epigenetic machinery that controls gene expression, it could, in theory, modify itself, activate dormant genes, silence harmful ones, direct its own evolution not over millions of years, but within a single lifetime, and pass those changes to the next generation. This is what the Sumerians describe as the power of the gods, not magic, not supernatural.
It's also generational chain breaking. Y'all see how all of these things are actively working together? Epigenetics comes from the Greek root epi, on, above, or over. So up, and Genesis is origin, creation, or birth. So literal meaning epigenetics, above genetics. So climbing the tower, climbing the ladder of your DNA strand, turning on, activating things that they turned off that they try to suppress. And so, of course, they don't want you to know this because I'll give you this in order to keep you like not questioning, not asking, not looking.
Ability, but conscious control over biological processes, the ability to heal at will, to live for millennia, to perceive across.
Man, and that y'all heard that right. So this is the other thing. So then it goes into talking about how your body regenerates, like how certain things, certain parts of your body can regenerate itself, and being able to tap in to the codes that are you will expand your life.
Vast distances, to communicate directly, to evolve deliberately, and this is what was denied to the Lulu. The seventh and most fundamental removal was not a specific trait. It was the meta capability, the capacity for autonomous spiritual evolution, the ability of the...
Mind you, you know how they be really playing in our face? Because all of a sudden meta was a thing. But mind you, it's always been a thing. It's like they will try to bring back something that is old into something new and act like they gave it to us.
Created being to take control of its own development, and eventually to become equal to its creators. The Atrahasis epic is, at its core, a story about control. The gods create humanity to serve them. When humanity grows too numerous, the gods try to destroy them. When that fails...
When y'all become too numerous, I started this off with how many people are on Earth. I also started with who's sinking. I also started this off with, there people think that it's just limited to us in this particular spot because that's all we can see. But meanwhile, we've been talking about this is global. It has been global since I sat down here in 2022 and we started saying think bigger, think bigger, think bigger, because people don't realize like just because it don't affect you right now, it's going to eventually affect us. Because sinking over here is happening, but also sinking everywhere else is happening. The people who are at the top of the food chain are going to try to save themselves. Hi, Lorenzo. They're going to try to save themselves before they try to save you. They can be bought. It don't make them good people. It's just that who can afford to do this and who can afford to manipulate and who can get involved in what is going to be, the name of the game. Not merit, not being a, great citizen, none of that. This is how the nasties keep winning. They keep, trying to stay above, but meanwhile, it is a do what I say, not as I do situation. It's a controlling of the mindset, keeping you small. This is the reason why I keep trying to tell y'all about the illusion that they put on our brains, even as far as land masses and things of that nature. Africa is smaller than Russia and other places, but meanwhile, Russia, the United States, and many more places can fit inside of Africa. If y'all don't know how strong y'all are as a people, as a whole, then guess what they get to do? Still control. They're creating extras that don't serve a spiritual purpose. They simply take up space or to house evil entities in which we end up having contact with in everyday life. And that's the fact, Katrina. And mind you, the other part, what I was going to tell y'all about Lilith, the person, the woman, before I got sidetracked with whoever that was, they literally kicked her out and then try to say that she was a demon. That's the thing. And then after that, then they created Eve, and basically and then she got looked at as wrong as well, because then she was charged with getting this man to eat an apple when he's supposed to be the leader, and he should know that even if you ate it, I'm not supposed to eat it. I got told not to eat it. And so just because you out here eating stuff don't mean that I'm supposed to be eating stuff. So even if that was the story, the man was supposed to be in control, from what they said. Furthermore, after that reality, when they told another story, then they said that she will bear children and whatever, and then have to be a servant to her husband or whatever. That's basically they said that he is to toil the earth and he has to eat from the earth. But mind you, it was weird that that was even being said, because what was they eating from before? The Garden of Eden, correct? But then even in that, like if we go look at what was said, it was they were supposed to toil the earth by the sweat of their brow. They had to work hard in order to. So mind you, that's been a thing. But now we got the men, some of the men wanting to, walk around as prissy as everybody else. And I'm not saying nothing, but this could also be the reason why there's entities and energy. So if you a man, nobody's talking to you. If that's it, like y'all forgive me. But if you're a man, I'm not talking to you, and a man would not be getting offended. Um, so again, I'm not in the debate of men and women either, because men, I love y'all. I'm thankful that y'all are here, but I'm talking to the ones that actively know that and are aware that together we stand, divided we fall. So if you're on that, then I'm talking to you. When they wrote this story, they didn't expect people to question or have time to see that this. No, stop talking to me. Period. Like, y'all, people just be being weird. I swear, I think it's whoever watches my channel, like they go from here to there. And I already blocked this, person over here, and then they start going other places. And it's so weird because, like, why are you that nasty? Why are you that attention hungry and like weird? I don't know you, you don't know me. Please leave me alone. It's the strangest thing, because in my mind, y'all don't even realize, like, when y'all start doing stuff like that, like, God, get them. That's weird. I don't want to talk to you. People are just strange, like, for no reason. Like, why do you need that? Why do you need attention? Why do you need focus? Why do you need that? Because you're a minion. That's why. One of these bot ass bitches. Anyway, y'all, back to the message. Epigenetics is the study of how your genes are turned on or off without changing the actual DNA sequence. So your DNA is the hardware, the instruction book. So your DNA, your what you're created with it from. Epigenetics is the software, how the instructions are read and used. So it's like a computer program. You know what I'm saying? Basically, is what I'm gathering. What it actually does. Epigenetics controls whether certain genes are activated, expressed, silenced, turned off, adjusted in intensity. The Tetris bot. Yeah, Lorenzo, like, I don't know why. It's like somebody got a hard on for me so bad. Not real, like, I'm not interested. I ain't interested in no man. Like, if I ever talk to you in life right here, right now, like, I'm not interested. That's the thing. And if you're not gonna talk to me straight to my face, I'm not interested. Like, I'm just not. And if it's a woman, you're a hating ass hoe. And I pray God, take that spirit from you. But leave me alone, please and thank you. Like, I'm okay. You can go and do the job that is ordained for you to do, but leave me and mine alone. I just wanna Be happy and laugh. That's it. Like, stop messing with me, please. Epigenetics control whether certain genes are activated, expressed, silenced, turned off, adjusted in intensity. So two people can have a similar DNA, but different lifestyles and environments can cause very different outcomes in health, behavior, and development. And sometimes we have to work our asses off in order to turn on something, and somebody else may not. Somebody may just, be able to change their food and, their diet or whatever, and then we may have to bust our ass, because that's how I feel right now. Like, God, I'm gonna do this one more time. Like, you know what I'm saying? This whole health thing. But God, this is hard. Okay. When I just want to be real comfortable and just be chilling and not have to, worry about the rat race of, men, women, and the whole little da 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 da. But one more again, that's all I got. And after this, you're gonna have to just take it how it come. Period. Same way, just go with God. But meanwhile, this is also the thing. There's so much stuff that has been corrupted into the system, and it's like people, their minds are, being baited. Like, I don't want you to believe that any of this is true. Meanwhile, it's all true, and I'm doing it behind the scenes, but I don't want you knowing it, because of the fact that if you know it, then it's going to stop me from being able to, control all the bots. It's going to stop me from being actively able to, continue to keep doing stuff right in y'all face. And why would y'all want me to not be able to do stuff right in y'all face? Because, it's easier that way. I mean, look at the government. Everybody sitting in that spot is corrupt. Meanwhile, it's actively out here, people saying, oh, we have to do this, we have to do this, but it's not the actual right decision. We have to figure out how to not have to have that vote. Because all of y'all are ill, all of y'all corrupted, all of y'all are ill-minded, all of y'all are, whatever that is. But instead of the people saying, y'all, they're not doing their job, this is why we had this set in stone, this is what da 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 da, nobody's doing that. So it's almost like we're going along with it, which means that now we have actively said yes to a system that is not representing us. I'm not saying yes because I rebuke it. And I don't want nobody representing me that, don't represent me. Like, I was having a conversation yesterday, right, with somebody. And it's funny how, and not to even say nothing about this, but this is what I ended up saying. The person was right in the matter that they said that a person should not be allowed to corrupt the police. Like, the person should have to go to jail. Hey, Ken, love you. Thank you for being here. A person should have to go to jail for tampering with the police for what did they do? It was coercion. It was like trying to bribe the police, right? And I said, I don't give a damn what a person tries to do. At this point in time, nobody should go to jail, especially not nobody that's black. If you a black person, you're not allowed to go to jail under this system at all, period. If I got anything to do with it. You want to know why? Because at this point, the people that are running the system, if they're not going to jail, then ain't nobody out here should be voting for nobody else to get locked up either. Because if we're not going to have the system, this is exactly what this is. Do as I say, not as I do. They can be the most corrupt people out here, touching, lying, doing everything they big enough to do, stealing, killing, and destroying. And they're going to look at other people and say, I'm going to send you to jail for whatever. And then everybody has to realize, like, we can't be, no hating ass bitches or no hating ass niggas out here either. Because I watched the truck driver, right, back down the wrong side of the highway. Another truck driver is basically saying, oh, he's not going to do that. He shouldn't get away with that. He shouldn't get away with that. He shouldn't get away with that. Where's the police? Where's the police? Where's the police? So you actively out here, this man just trying to figure out how to back his ass down the road, and you actively want this nigga to get locked up. Like, we don't realize our minds have been so messed up and corrupted by this system that we will promote our brothers and sisters going to jail. Meanwhile, we not actively out here trying to fight these niggas that is up here killing, stealing, and destroying, being pedophiles, touching on people, out here robbing the fucking country blind. But yet we want to root for somebody else to go to jail. Why you not rooting for them niggas up there to go to jail? This is how the conditioning is. Like, you literally actively voting for somebody that, okay, so what? They did this. They have done worse. The people who are in control have done worse. Nobody should be allowed to go to jail in this system. How? As long as y'all letting them people sit there, nobody should be allowed to go to jail under this system. And I don't care what nobody's saying. You're not gonna convince me. Oh, this person out here killed somebody. So did that. Why they not locked up? Why you letting them still run the country? Why you still letting them make decisions for us? So at this point, no way, Jose. God get them, and God, please, please. Because I know you exist. I know God exists. And I know that whoever is trying to manufacture whatever this lie is, I know that that's not real. Although that seems like that's been a narrative and that's been the thing that's been pushed the most. Why? Because there's people out here clapping. You sitting out here in the system. You out here clapping every Sunday, every Saturday, every Friday, whatever your religion basically pushes for you to do. Meanwhile, y'all know these people out here are the nastiest. But because you're worshiping idols, like literally, we just watched and same thing, y'all. If y'all don't start getting these leaders in order, because y'all churches and things of that nature are out here celebrating idols, erecting statues and shit for people, and y'all be having time. Hi, gays. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Love you. How was your day, gays? And so this is the thing. If we not going to hold other people accountable, like, stop telling your kids to grow up to be good people. Like, literally, that's the thing. Stop telling your kids to grow up to be good people, especially when ain't nobody good sitting there. The people who are the worst people are running, everything. So why are you teaching your children to be good people? Because all you're doing is teaching them to have issues. And again, y'all know that I'm not saying that because they should be good people. They should, but at what point in time are we not going to be holding, are we going to start holding the people who are not good people accountable as a whole? At what point in time are we going to start uncovering, the lies that they're out here telling and showing, like, it don't make sense? You told me that this ladder wasn't important, but meanwhile, now you out here reconstructing, making human beings literally being God. But in this book, you literally told me that we got set down for trying to create a ladder to get there. Or were you trying to tell me that I was going to get knocked down if I didn't listen to my DNA, and if I didn't evolve like I was supposed to, I was going to keep being scattered in the brain and everything else? Because y'all, that's basically what it's saying. It's like I'm telling you in your face what needs to be done, but meanwhile, I'm also lying to you. You see what I'm saying? Or I'm telling you, but I'm not telling you. So you have to go and uncover and, unbury the actual truth behind it, because this is the way you excel. This is the way you accelerate. You have to climb the ladder, which is AKA your DNA, to enlightenment in order to turn those systems back on. What influences epigenetics? Your gene expression can be influenced by things like this: diet and nutrition, stress levels. Y'all don't think that they mess with y'all stress levels right now? Every day they something new. Like, life ain't changed so much in the past fucking 50 years. I'm 50 years old. And I could wake up on a daily basis and nothing would have changed. Now, every day you wake up, something is different. Sleep. A lot of people not sleeping. I'll be sleep though, knocked out. Because at one point in time, I was just woke. And then also sleeping and being able to sleep on the pattern of what you want to sleep. Like, them having to force people to go to work, this, that, and third. And then this is the other thing. They don't realize that the things they're doing is actively helping the system. Because again, when you try to do something to trigger and I evolve, because I'm gonna tell you, like, people are resilient. And in all the things they keep trying to suppress us with, we are resilient, we keep evolving, we keep growing, we keep being able to move past that. Toxins and environment. Y'all don't think they wouldn't study this? And y'all don't think that this is the reason why they continue to allow certain things to happen in our environment, in our system? Trauma and experiences, physical activity, why it matters. Epigenetics helps explain why identical twins can develop different diseases, how environment affects long-term health, how early life experiences can shape biology, why some traits can appear or disappear without DNA changing. Epigenetics does not change your DNA code itself. Instead, it changes how your body reads the code. Your genes are not full destiny. How they are expressed can shift based on environment and life experiences. So you can change the system by changing the system. Anyway, y'all, message being, if God doesn't lie, then who really is writing reality? Have y'all figured it out yet? Because if God is telling us one thing and then there's so much other stuff that's happening behind the scenes that's not matching what God is saying, like, have you pinpointed who's doing what yet? Have you seen the signs? Because the warning comes before destruction. The warning comes from the fall. This changes everything. Seeing things for what they really truly are. And we talked about, the ladder and the system. What really is that? So who's really controlling that? When it talks about ladders in society and it changing, the way a person thinks, the way a person evolves, the way a person, just the way a person does anything. Rose Neal, hi, welcome. Thank you for being here. A connection between levels of reality or understanding achieved through effort, but always with limits and risks, because the higher you climb, the fall from there is also another thing. This is another thing that we discussed. It's like starting from the bottom, like when we talked about leadership, but also, social climate and things of that nature. When people start from here and they don't know what to do, what happens down here, you can't really be an effective, good leader. So the best way to explain it is like undercover boss. When a person, is up here and they able to, go and see what's happening on a lower level, but a lot of people are not going to do that. They just like living and telling people what to do from a higher level. But also when those people fall, or when things start to happen, when shit start to shake, those people will go and delete themselves from the system faster than anybody else. Why? Because they can't take it down here. That's some catch-22 type shit. Like we're a huge experiment. It's just like they keep exposing us to all this trauma just to see what will happen. You, Katrina, you have never lied, honey. I totally agree with you because that's the way it feels. But even past that, we still have to be resilient and know that, God is in the midst. So even if it's happening, you know, God doesn't lie. Men will lie, women will lie. They could try to change the numbers. They could try to do this, that, and the third. But if you believe God and God said we will always be blessed, then guess what? There's going to be a blessing even in the midst of their mess. Okay? So let's just all know that. Human unity without limits. That's the thing. When we talking about ladders and how they tell us stories or how we perceive a story, or even the idea of, we just have to pay attention. And that's the thing, have some discernment. It is so important. I know y'all be tired and sick and tired of the same exact thing on how do you get your way out of something. It's imperative for y'all to see things exactly for what it is. So even if it may be symbolic of this, if it's a ladder here and a ladder here, it's symbolic of the same exact thing. Why is it approved here but not here? It wouldn't be approved in any aspect unless, what she said, catch-22. As above, so below. So as within, so without. Like everything is yours, but nothing is yours. You have to see it for the real reality of what it is, and we know God don't lie. So that being said, that's the message. Hopefully it helped. Thank you guys for being here. Like, comment, share, subscribe. If you wish to donate towards my channel, all the links are in my bio. Super chat, super stickers, definitely welcome. My GoFundMe and my Cash App is in the top in the bio. So I love y'all. Have the day y'all deserve. So will I. And go with God. Go with God always. Like, Even if you don't know, like, pray about it. I'm telling y'all, like, God be giving me answers to stuff, like, right out and plain. Go to God about it. And the biggest deception that they ever tried to create was that you had to go through them in order for you to, hear God, know God, and that they are more important than you. Ain't nobody on this planet more important than you. You are the only you that exists on this planet walking around. And I don't care what nobody say. You were important for this time, this season, this reason, for something. There are no coincidences. Oh, it's a coincidence that doesn't know. There's a reason for everything. Know that. And like I said, have a great day on purpose. Amen. Um, have a great day, y'all. Love you. Love you too, Mike. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful day, Renee. Don't let nobody feel like they're more important than you, that they should be able to have because a person sitting in a seat of anything. A person sitting in the seat of power is no better than you. A person that has money or more than what you think that you should have ain't better than you. And a lot of times people be jealous over you and they could have more. Your attitude, your aura, your personality is better than, what anybody else could, ever imagine or they would want. So just know that you that. Okay, so that's what I got to say. And with that, go with God.